This is the Pixel 2 XL. I've been using it as my main everyday phone for the past couple of weeks, and there's some things I love about it, some things not so much. But let's start with the good stuff. The Pixel 2 XL is the fastest Android phone I've ever used, and it genuinely does have the best camera on any smartphone right now in my experience. You always get the latest version of Android first on the Pixels, which is currently Android 8 Oreo, and combined with the Snapdragon 835 processor and 4 gigs of RAM, it feels so smooth and responsive to use. Going back to my Galaxy Note 8 after using the Pixel 2 XL, just feels a bit slow and clunky. The only other phone that's come close to feeling this fast is the OnePlus 5, and with the 5T right around the corner, it's going to give the Pixel 2 a serious run for its money, but more on that later. But because you've got stock Android, it's just refreshing not to have any bloatware or heavy skins running on top that slow things down. And the Google Assistant is still the best digital assistant on a phone. So it's really fast and gets the latest updates, but for me, it's the camera which is the Pixel 2's biggest selling point. The 12 megapixel f1.8 camera is a real standout. It's a bit of a shame there's no second wide angle or telephoto lens like you get on the LG V30 or Galaxy Note 8, but clearly Google have put all their effort into giving the Pixel 2 the best single camera setup on any phone. Photos look stunning, they're sharp, detailed, it handles dynamic range really well, and I'm a big fan of the portrait modes, especially for selfies. Color accuracy is really impressive too, although in low light, I did find the Pixel struggle with noise a little bit more than rivals like the Galaxy S8. But overall, the camera is a big reason you might want to buy the Pixel 2, and combined, as I say, with the super slick Android software, they're the two reasons I'm actually going to switch to the Pixel 2 XL as my main phone from now on. Other good stuff includes dual front-facing speakers, which are really punchy and sound great. The rear fingerprint reader is really fast and actually easy to reach. And I really like the new thinner bezel design of the Pixel 2 XL. Putting it side by side with the Pixel 2, which kept the same chunky bezel of the original Pixel, it looks a lot sleeker and more modern. And I also think the 6-inch screen with its taller aspect ratio is pretty much the perfect size these days, and thanks to that slimmer bezel, it's still just about usable one-handed. And while I have to say, it doesn't feel the most premium to hold, because while the body is aluminium, apparently it's got a coating on top which actually helps it achieve its new IP67 water and dust resistance, but it just feels a bit cheap and a bit scratchy. The Galaxy S8, the Galaxy Note 8 feel a lot classier, a lot more premium in the hand. But the plus side is the Pixel 2s don't feel slippery to hold. And like the HTC U11, you can squeeze the sides to bring up the Google Assistant, which, if I'm honest, isn't actually something I've ever really wanted to use. So normally I turn that off because I find myself activating it accidentally when I pull it out of my pocket, but it's a nice option to have. And something that a lot of people aren't really talking about is the battery life, which is surprising because it's actually pretty good. The Pixel 2 XL has a 3,520 mAh battery, which is around 25% bigger than last year's Pixel. And I finally get an extra couple of hours over the smaller Pixel 2, the Galaxy S8, Galaxy Note 8. I usually have around 30 to 35% of my battery left by 10 PM in the evening after a normal day of use. And as you'd expect these days, the USB-C port supports fast charging with the bundled power adapter. Apple, are you listening? So there's a lot of good stuff here, but it's not perfect. The thing that most people are talking about is the screen, and it's true, it isn't great. I looked into this in detail in a video I made last week. I'll put a link to it at the end of the video, or you can click up there if you're bored of this one. And basically, there's two things happening. Firstly, the LG-made P-OLED screen, which the Pixel 2 XL uses, simply isn't as good as the Samsung-made AMOLED screen on the smaller Pixel. So for the first time ever, the smaller, cheaper version of a phone has a slightly better screen. It's weird. But the second issue, which most people are commenting on, is the fact that the colors, the screen just looks a bit dull and lifeless. And actually, that's not an issue per se. Basically what's happening is Android 8 now supports wider color gamuts, and Google have chosen to take advantage of this by shipping the Pixels running in sRGB color mode, which prioritizes color accuracy over vibrancy and saturation. But the good news is with the upcoming Android 8.1 software, Google are adding a saturation mode, which you'll be able to choose in the display settings, which will make the screen look a lot more punchy and vivid, but of course at the expense of accuracy. But while that will brighten the colors and make it a little bit more pleasing to the eye, it won't of course fix the fact that the POLED panel on this phone just isn't as good as some other phones. It's still got pretty bad viewing angles, there's a definite blue tint to it when you view it off angle. And the third issue is burn-in, something that all OLED panels can suffer from. But again, Google are addressing this with an update which will sort of time out the nav bar, slightly change the colors, reduce the brightness just a little bit, a few little things which should reduce the chance of burn-in. So again, that is being addressed, but it's not really something we should be thinking about. So it's just lots of little things that basically come together to make the screen not one you'd expect on a flagship phone like this, which is disappointing. But what I would say is don't let the screen put you off buying the Pixel 2. It's not a deal breaker, for me at least. It's definitely not the best screen out there, and it is disappointing for a flagship phone that costs £800, but at least most of the issues are being addressed with the saturation mode and changes to the UI avoiding burn-in. So that's the main issue, but there's also things like there's no headphone jack, which I won't go on about, but I still think it's a bit of a pain in the ass. You do get a 3.5mm to USB-C adapter in the box, so it's not the end of the world, but I still find it surprising considering Google made a big deal of the original Pixel keeping it when Apple removed it from the iPhones. But I guess the other thing to consider is the price. I mean, compared to Apple's ludicrous £1,000 iPhone X, the Pixels may seem almost cheap, but at £799 for the Pixel 2 XL, this is definitely an expensive flagship phone and goes against the iPhone 8 Plus, Galaxy S8 Plus, LG V30, and OnePlus 5T. Now, as it says here, it is Sunday the 5th of November, and the OnePlus 5T is expected to formally launch in a couple of weeks, but it's all but confirmed that rumours of a sleeker design with thinner bezels, bigger screen, improved cameras, and Android 8 for a couple of £100 less than the Pixel 2 XL. So I think Google's got some real competition with the 5T when it comes out, so make sure you subscribe and stay tuned because I will be doing a versus comparison review when that launches. But for now, I am still a big fan of the Pixel 2 XL, and over the past few weeks, I have, as I say, finally decided to change to this as my permanent phone. I love the camera, I love how fast everything feels, and it gets the latest Android updates first. The screen is disappointing, there's no doubt about it, but that is kind of the only blemish, for me at least, on what is otherwise an incredible phone. So let me know what you think of the Pixel 2 in the comments below. Would you buy one? And if you did enjoy the video and you are a fan of the channel, click that subscribe button and help me get to 200,000 subscribers. I'd really appreciate that. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.